Double Take Debate, checking in with some Euros. We haven't spoken on the Euros in a couple of days, and there's been some major developments. Both semi-finals have been played, and we'll start with the first semi-final, Spain v Portugal. And I think, including myself, a lot of people were backing Portugal for the upset. They had Cristiano Ronaldo, who'd been playing pretty well this tournament. I mean, he hit the post 4 times and scored 3 goals, and he'd been terrorising defences, showing the kind of attitude and drive that you need to win a tournament like this, and you need to bring into every game. And I think, knowing Spain over the years, we expected an exhibition type match. Great football being played, being knocked about, quick counter attacks. And in all honesty, it disappointed. Spain didn't turn up. They looked as bad as I can remember for the first 45 minutes. They were shocking. Portugal were the better team. They didn't create lots and lots of clear-cut chances, but they were the better team, and they were the team that seemed to want it more. And every time Ronaldo got near the ball, you could feel the Spain defence scrambling. In the final third, Portugal lacked the killer ball, but they definitely had them rattled. But then towards the latter part of the second half and into extra time, Spain definitely found their groove. They found their rhythm, and they made some substitutions. Cesc Fabregas came on. And it felt like they wanted it more. I mean, they started Negredo up front, who was awful, who was nothing short of awful. His touch, his movement, his lack of anything was unbelievable. When you've got Torres and Llorente sitting on the bench, but that's another matter. It went to penalties, and Spain won 4-2. And I think the biggest controversy was Ronaldo, who selected to take the 5th and final penalty, and it's come out recently that Nani reckons he was going for the glory. And because of Ronaldo's reputation, because of his history, his past attitude in the game and in interviews, it seems hard to doubt that. He's always been one that wanted the spotlight and be seen as the one that won the game, as it were, that gave the final nail in the coffin. I think he wanted the headlines of sending Portugal through to the final spot for Cristiano, but as we all know, he never got to take one. Bruno Alves missed one just before him, and Spain won 4-2. What can you do? He had to sit there, and he was helpless. So instead of being the hero, he actually helped them in no manner at all. And I think it goes to show you have to put your best penalty takers either at the 1 or 3 spot. I think the first is crucial to get you off to a good start, and I think 3 is always important, just because it's that middle penalty where things could someone on either team's probably been rattled and missed one by now, and you could really take the lead at that point. So Spain have gone through their 3rd successive major final in as many tournaments, so the previous Euros and World Cup, so a fantastic record for Spain. Doing an absolutely unbelievable job, despite the fact they barely played a striker all tournament. Whether this shows a lack of respect for opponents or not, that's up for debate, but they know how to get it done, and they still know how to turn on the football when it matters most. The one thing I have been surprised about Spain so far is they seem to rely on Xabi Alonso more than I can remember, and this isn't a knock on them because he's a fantastic player, but they seem to just give him the ball and expect him to create from deep, kind of like what Pirlo does at Italy. And it's surprising when they've got Xavi, Iniesta, Silva and Fabregas and many other brilliant players in that team. Many of them are probably considered better than him, but they seem happy to just give it to Alonso and let him spray balls from deep and kind of see what happens from that. But they're in the finals, so you can't knock it. Then moving on to the second semi-finals, which was yesterday, and my favourites for the tournament, Germany, going up against maybe some people's surprise package, Italy. And surprised they did. Within 35 minutes, it was 2-0 game over Italy. Balotelli running riot. Germany couldn't get their defensive positioning together. Both goals were down to lackadaisical defensive work across the back line. I mean, the second one in particular by Balotelli was a fantastic finish. And Pirlo and Cassano again were at their creative best for both goals. But I couldn't help but feel Germany, for a team that was on the cusp of the finals and favourites to win it, they didn't look like they wanted to be there. They looked so poor. They looked, I think the overconfidence kicked in. Teams and players and journalists and media alike, had built them up to a point where I think they were starting to feel no matter who they played, they walk in and win because they were so well balanced. But at international football, at semi-finals of any major tournament, that's a recipe for disaster. You know, they created few and far between any clear-cut chances. And I think it was a shame because I think this could have been their year. I think if they turned up and played, I don't think Italy could have hung about with them. But all credit where it's due, Italy came in, they done what was needed, and if there's any team you don't want to chase a lead against, it's Italy. They've known how to hold a lead for as long as I can remember. I mean, such a brilliant defensive team for the last 20 to 25 years. Their defensive organisation and discipline is phenomenal. It is second to none. And Germany paid the price. So out they go. And Spain, Italy final. Do I think Italy could do it all? Yes, because they have an X factor in Balotelli, unlike a lot of the players in football, because when he puts his head to it, he is such a force up front. But on the other hand, Spain could also give Italy so few of the ball that they don't really create many chances. Spain are that good at retaining possession. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be a great final. I think it's a final which Pirlo will thrive particularly because against the Spanish midfield, they play just like him. You won't have to chase them all over the pitch. But speaking of which, here's a very, very interesting statistic for English fans. Parker covered 31 kilometres in the Euros. Pirlo covered 46. So for all the hard work and workhorse mentality that we give Scott Parker, Pirlo covered more in the same amount of time while impacting a game at a completely different level. And this wasn't to say that Parker should be on the level of Pirlo, but the one thing that we brought him in was for hard work and defensive, just harassment. And he covered 15 kilometres less than an ageing Pirlo who supposedly has bad knees. So I think you have to question his selection. I did at the very start of the tournament. That's another point. Congratulations Italy, congratulations Spain. The Euros should have a fascinating final on its hands. Double take debate, and my pick for the final, I'm going to have to go with Spain. 3-3 I think. And I think Fabregas will be one of the guys to score. I'll put it as 2-1. Fabregas will get one, and David Silva. So maybe Cassano for Italy. Enjoy the final. Been a good tournament for football fans, and the Premier League starts soon, so heads up.